witness the everyday struggle for survival in untamed worlds. Stories of the animal universe come to life next on Wildlife Chronicles.
The islands of the Galapagos are famous for their unique forms of wildlife, like the only seagoing lizards in the world, the marine iguanas. What is often overlooked is their importance to birds, especially to seabirds. The islands are an ocean nursery. The islands have more endemic species and subspecies of seabirds, that is to say birds that are only found here, than any other archipelago in the world. The Galapagos, which lie on the equator, have only 2 seasons. From January to June, it is very hot, with some heavy rainfall. Then, for 3 or 4 months, there's an overcast, cool, moist season known as the Garua, though even its onset and its exact duration are unpredictable. The Garua is the result of the arrival of cold water from the south. The seas cool down by only a few degrees, but it's enough to produce this dank and dismal weather. One way or another, the ocean governs the nesting behavior of most of the Galapagos birds, and certainly all the seabirds. The Galapagos lie in a part of the Pacific where the ocean currents are extremely complicated. From July to December, the southeast trade winds drive the cold Peru current with its rich seabed upwellings northward. This cold water stream then turns west to join the south equatorial current and provides the Galapagos with comparatively chilly, food-rich waters. When the southeast trades slacken around November, a mass of warm water flows south and west, bringing rain and decreasing the amount of seafood available around the islands. When an extra powerful current, known as El Niño, persists, disaster can follow for Galapagos marine life, including seabirds. Sea conditions even vary from island to island. From July to October, the east-flowing Cromwell undercurrent brings some of the richest and chilliest water to the most westerly islands. These variations in food supply and sea temperatures greatly influence when seabirds nest. The same species often differs in choice of breeding time from island to island. Blue-footed boobies fish close inshore. This feeding frenzy off the island of Hispaniola makes it certain that the boobies will be nesting there. On the more northerly islands, it's quite possible that the same species isn't breeding yet, if sea conditions aren't right for it. In other parts of the tropical seas, a brown pelican's nesting period is seasonally fairly predictable, but not here. The Galapagos subspecies breeds most readily when the sea surface is alive with food fish. That's a noddy tern, about to feed on fish scraps left by the pelican. It uses its host's head as a perch. Like almost all Galapagos seabirds, the pelican is an opportunist feeder and breeder. It nests when the sea delivers the food in sufficient quantity. There are only a few Galapagos seabirds with a fixed breeding cycle. Each year, the waved albatrosses start to display in early April. Almost the entire population of some 20,000 pairs of waved albatrosses nests in only one place in the world, the island of Hispaniola. There's the waved feather pattern which gives the albatross its name. There are several reasons why the albatross keeps to a regular nesting schedule. It arrives on Hispaniola in early April. It needs at least 235 days to mate and rear its single chick. By arriving in April, it avoids the 3 hottest months of the year. The timing also ensures that its chick hatches when food is likely to be most plentiful. The waved albatross ranges over vast areas of ocean to find food for its young. By means of a special adaptation of the stomach, it converts this food into oil, which it stores until it returns to the nest. So the albatross is far less dependent on the vagaries of the local currents. Waved albatrosses mate for life, so courtship is a lengthy process. The pairs that arrive on Hispaniola have either bred together previously or formed their bond in the courtship period the year before. A green patch relieves the stark black lava flows of the island of Fernandina. Greenery is notably absent from the shorelines of the Galapagos. These are mangroves, and they provide another sort of nursery, this time for brown pelicans. Mangroves like to have their feet or other roots in salt or brackish water. They're trees that seem to stand on stilts, great colonizers of the tide edge, where they play their part in winning back land from the sea. Their seeds are carried by the ocean currents. It's a tribute to their tenacity that they can get a grip on such an inhospitable volcanic shore. Throughout their range, brown pelicans find mangroves ideal for nesting. Inshore feeders like pelicans not only find it easier to locate food, but they expend less energy in catching it. Inshore feeders in the Galapagos tend to breed more frequently than the pelagic species, those that have to range far and wide in search of food. They lay larger clutches, too. Galapagos pelicans often rear 3 chicks and sometimes breed twice a year.
Wildlife Chronicles will continue on the Discovery Channel. America Coast to Coast visits the Great Northwest, Thursday at 10.
What is Vibrance? Vibrance is your hair full of life. Vibrance is new shampoos and new conditioners. Vibrance infuses each strand with a healthier life, with deeper shine, livelier color, and a fullness you've always wanted. When your hair's this full of life, it's new Vibrance.
It has 4 independent motors, an intricate steel frame, even an electronically regulated temperature control system. And that's just the driver's seat. The Lexus ES300 luxury sedan.
P.U. Nasty, rotten mildew stains. Try X14 Mildew Stain Remover. Compare 3 sprays of Tilex to just 1 of X14. In minutes, the X14 side is cleaner without scrubbing. Proof X14 is better.
My best invention yet. 2,000 flushes chlorine clear tablet. Drop one in. It's the first chlorine tablet to help bleach away stains in your toilet up to 4 months automatically. 2,000 flushes chlorine clear tablet.
Now that the Cold War's over, it's time to invest at home. Invest in medicine. Invest in the arts. Technology. Housing. And in education. And when you think about it, when you invest in our children and in our public schools, you invest in everything. Children, our most precious national resource.
On the next Discovery Sunday, meet the Hunters of the Sky. the hotshots of the United States Air Force, and Mother Nature's own Top Guns. First, fasten your seatbelts as host William Shatner pays tribute to our nation's airborne elite on Top Flight. And then at 10, witness the instinctive hunting prowess and amazing aerial skills of nature's winged predators on Birds of Prey. Sunday, beginning at 9 Eastern, only on Discovery Sunday. We now return to Wildlife Chronicles on the Discovery Channel.
The bird which nests in the mangroves nearby has, so to speak, one foot in sea and one on shore. The yellow-crowned night heron feeds largely on crabs along the tide line. But it also catches insects for its young, so it's not entirely independent of the influence of the weather and therefore of the seas around the islands. This nest started out with 3 chicks. The weakest has already been evicted by its siblings and is dead. Now it looks as if there's going to be a second victim. These fights usually ensure that only the strongest survives and gets fed. Here, the rivals seem evenly matched in weight and size. Perhaps that's why, at the end of round 1, the apparent loser makes a comeback. As their name suggests, night herons feed themselves and their young mainly nocturnally. When the parent returns that night, only one young, presumably the aggressor, is in the nest, but the other soon appears from the mangroves nearby. Against all likelihood, both chicks survived and were successfully reared. This ocean nursery is on the slopes of the collapsed volcano Ecuador, at the northern end of the largest island, Isabella. Punta Vicente Roca is the site of one of the big blue-footed booby colonies. The birds have chosen their nesting colony well. When the Cromwell current is flowing strongly, the seas off Isabella are full of fish. A male blue-footed booby flashes his bright blue webs as he lands. It's all part of his display to attract a female. Even here on Isabella, things sometimes go wrong. The fish shoals can move away. When this happens, a colony may cease displaying and even abandon eggs. But this time all is obviously well. Display rituals are in full swing. A male sky points to his female. She goose steps in return. Real fighting is very uncommon, but stealing a twig from a rival's nest is going too far. So is landing too close to someone else's nest site. Another island and another branch of the Ocean Nursery. Canovesa lies to the northeast of the archipelago. Its low scrub holds one of the main nesting colonies of the great frigate bird. The male frigate's display is even more extravagant than the blue-footed boobies. He inflates his red throat pouch to catch the eye of any female flying overhead. Sometimes he even takes his red balloon aloft with him. When a female flies past, he vibrates his wings and chatters like a demented machine gun. When a male succeeds in enticing a mate, he goes into a frenzy of warbling and head waving. That's the female close to camera. Frigates in the Galapagos breed less than once a year, and often only once every 2 years. Like all the other seabirds in the Galapagos, they're largely dependent on what the ocean currents bring. Like the other seabirds of the Galapagos, the flightless cormorant only breeds when the seas around its nesting islands are kind to it and bring abundant food within easy reach. Practically the entire world population of about 2,000 birds lives and nests around the Bolivar Channel between the islands of Isabella and Fernandina. The cormorants raise their young between March and December, with a peak period from April to June. That's when the cold Cromwell current delivers most of the food on which the cormorants feed their young. The cormorants feed their chicks on partly digested fish, squid, and octopus. Most pairs rear a brood of 1 or 2 chicks a year. The cormorants have few predators, so the species maintains its numbers. Just as well, since the genus, let alone the species, is unique to the Galapagos. For the first 70 days, both parents share feeding and nesting duties. Then the female deserts to find a second mate and leaves all the work to her consort. This is very unusual behavior. Most seabirds mate for life. Even if she doesn't lay again that season, she's ready to breed when the next one comes round. This wouldn't happen if she'd been tied to feeding the young all the time. So it's a successful breeding strategy. Even though they're beginning to catch fish for themselves, the juvenile birds are still fed by the parent. At this stage, the young cormorant begs for its food in the water, the parent making it chase before it will feed it.
Wildlife Chronicles will continue on the Discovery Channel.
Tales of nature, capturing wildlife at its most wild, exploring its diversity, and showing how animals interact with each other and with us. It's an all-new season this fall, only on the Discovery Channel.
So my son asked me if there'll be any trees left when he grows up. He's thinking about it, just like everybody. But working for Georgia Pacific like I do, I can tell him we're doing our part. Planting new trees by the millions, setting aside land, making sure the forest will always be here, for everybody. I can't speak for other companies out there, but at Georgia Pacific, we're doing what needs to be done.
The government is about to hand you a new law. It was intended to protect consumers from higher cable TV rates. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that. It's loaded with special interests that could increase your cable rates. In fact, if this law passes, your monthly bill for basic cable will go up, not down. Well, if that's consumer protection, how come you're getting soaked? Call now to send a message to your senators and congressmen. Tell them to vote no. Stop the bill that will raise your cable TV bill.
True life stories, investigating the criminal mind and those who seek to understand it, then celebrating the heroes, people with bravery to spare. It's an all-new season this fall, only on the Discovery Channel.
Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Tell me, do you like Stephen King?
King? Ooh, frightening stuff.
How would you like to buy The Stand for $7.95?
The hardcover?
Yep. And you don't have to buy anything more.
You got a deal.
Introducing the Stephen King Library, now shockingly easy and inexpensive to acquire, starting with The Stand for just $7.95. What comes to mind when I say Stephen King?
Psychos with hatchets. Demon dogs.
Your collection will build into a gruesome library. Pet Cemetery, Misery, The Shining, Carrie. There's no commitment or minimum to buy. Cancel anytime. What do you think of when I say Stephen King? The Stand is complete and uncut for only $7.95. Call now before it's too late.
Nasty creatures you wouldn't believe.
Call 1-800-942-3700 now to get The Stand. Keep it and pay just $7.95 plus shipping and handling. Future volumes will come, one every 7 weeks, each with a 10-day free trial. Keep only the ones you want. Cancel anytime.
We now return to Wildlife Chronicles on the Discovery Channel.
At Punta Vicente Roca, the blue-footed boobies have successfully nested and reared young. This can only mean that the source of food that triggered them off to breed has remained plentiful and close inshore. Boobies will even desert a colony full of well-grown, fluffy white young if the currents take the fish shoals away. Like most of the seabirds that fish close to shore, the boobies lay more than one egg and sometimes rear more than one chick. There are no native land predators in the Galapagos, unless you count the non-poisonous Galapagos snake. It's far too small to harm the booby chicks. The reaction of most of their parents is curious rather than defensive, although it gets a chilly reception at one or two of the nests it visits. The waved albatrosses of Hispaniola arrived in April, laid most of their eggs in April and May, and hatched their chicks in late June and early July. Most of the chicks are now a few weeks old. This chick is being fed on fish oil, which the parent manufactures in a specially adapted part of the stomach while spending long periods foraging at sea. Another pelagic or far-ranging ocean bird nests on Hispaniola. The red-billed tropic bird also nests on most of the other islands, wherever it can find suitable crevices in the lava. The tropic bird's scientific name is Phaeton Etherius, after Phaeton, son of the sun god Apollo, who fell from the sky into the ocean. The tropic bird, like the boobies, is a plunge diver, often dropping from 50 feet to catch fish and squid. It's rarely seen to do so. It ranges far away from the islands to make its catches. So you'd expect the tropic bird to be independent of the local ocean currents, like the albatross. But it lacks the albatross's method of turning food into oil and storing it. So it has to return regularly to feed its young. The tropic bird's nesting seasons are inconsistent even by Galapagos standards. On the island of South Plaza, its schedule is regular. On Daphne Island, a few miles away, they nest almost all months of the year. The limiting factor seems to be the availability of suitable nesting holes. The tropic bird lays a single very large egg. It broods its young for at least 50 days. But once they're fledged, it no longer feeds them. They leave the nest for good to fend for themselves. The The tropic bird isn't special to the Galapagos. It's widespread throughout these latitudes, but in the archipelago, it's as unpredictable in breeding habits as the other seabirds. The rearing season in this unique ocean nursery never actually comes to an end. Somewhere, someplace, on one of the 13 main islands and 48 rocks and islets, some species is always nesting. However, there is one breeding cycle that has a predictable beginning and end, that of the waved albatrosses on Hispaniola. These untidy-looking young have well-developed flight feathers, which they'll soon be exercising. The waved plumage is beginning to show below that collar of down. It's around 230 days since this young bird's parents mated and laid that single egg. The waved albatrosses reared on Hispaniola this year won't return to breed for at least 5 seasons. During that time, they'll find their living and meet their future mates on the ocean, whose powerful and mysterious currents govern everything that takes place in this ocean nursery.
It's an all-new season coming this fall, only on the Discovery Channel.
Brought to you in part by Lexus Automobiles.
Of the Lexus coupe was designed to exhilarate you, even when you're not moving.
Your kids love the pizza party, but your stomach doesn't love the pizza. When what you eat and drink gives you a surprise, you want a medicine that works on your stomach itself. Pepto-Bismol. As it coats, Pepto delivers powerful medicine directly to your stomach, right where you hurt. The real medicine for your stomach. Pepto-Bismol's the only one you need.
On the next Discovery Sunday, meet the hunters of the sky, the hotshots of the United States Air Force, and Mother Nature's own Top Guns. First, fasten your seatbelts as host William Shatner pays tribute to our nation's airborne elite on Top Flight. And then at 10, witness the instinctive hunting prowess and amazing aerial skills of nature's winged predators on Birds of Prey. Sunday, beginning at 9 Eastern, only on Discovery Sunday. Experience the grandeur of the wilderness, the magnificence of North American nature, stunning images of wildlife. Next on Profiles of Nature.
Their prehistoric appearance is alarming to anyone who catches sight of this awesome animal. Across the frozen tundra of Canada's northern Arctic islands dwells these shaggy-haired, mammoth-sized beasts. Their fight for supremacy